Hey, this is Matt Taylor. You're listening to Master of One podcast, and you can find me on the web everywhere, usually at Matt Taylor Draws.
Welcome to another episode of the Master of One podcast, the podcast 3 feet ahead of you in a foot race, until it starts. Part 1 this week, we talk about UNIMO, Kabuki, Mondo's Disney show, and the documentary We Are X. I'm Andrew, your Master of Art and Design.
I'm Patrick, your Master of Television and Film.
And I'm Luke, your Master of Toys and Games.
So wrap around the one you love and get ready to stuff into the singular fold of another episode.
I don't even know how that works.
We like to kick every episode off by going around the table, which is where we talk about something new, fun, and noteworthy about our weeks. Luke, why don't you kick us off?
All right. This week, you know what, man? Not much going on. I watched Silicon Valley. Let's see, what else did I do? I watched Agent 47 on HBO. Did you guys see that movie about the Hitman? It was based off the Hitman games.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen it, but I know about it.
Wait, it's on HBO?
It's on HBO now, yeah. Hey, just don't watch it. You don't have to. It's not good.
That's how I feel about the games. Actually, so here's the thing.
No,
the
that's
games
not
were
true.
really
The games
good.
are great.
No, they're great for like 3 levels.
Right,
And then
okay,
after
that's
3
fair.
levels, they're garbage. But they were super thought out for the first 30 minutes of gameplay.
Wait, so do you feel that same way about Splinter Cell?
No, I absolutely don't think Splinter Cell was great.
What's different? Oh, you don't think it was great to begin with?
No, I do. No, I do think Splinter Cell was good. I'm saying I remember playing it in the first let's say 2 to 3 zones inside Hitman. And I haven't played this game in a long time, so
Sure.
This would be I think 2 consoles ago. But the very well thought out, the placement of everything, the mission, the people, the routes they would walk, like all those different things were really, really awesome. But it felt like once you got about 4 zones in, that suddenly the textures weren't quite as nice or as done. The world got a lot smaller. The people seemed a lot more predictable. It just felt like it became
It's almost
formulaic.
like you got used to the mechanics of the game.
So and I would like to think that because for instance, Red Dead Redemption is one where I did get very used to the mechanic of the game, and that got boring after a while.
Yeah.
But I think it was different. It felt a bit lazy. Obviously a lot of the mechanics are the same, but I think the level building got lazy. I think that was the thing that I really noticed.
So I agree with that. In all of the previous, so you probably haven't played the latest Hitman iteration.
No, I played the first Hitman iteration.
So what they did with the latest Hitman, and this is off on a tangent now. The movie's garbage. Don't see the movie. But the new Hitman, they released it in levels. So they released levels over the course of a couple months, and I think they've released 6 now. And you can tell that they spent a lot of time on each one. So each one felt fresh. There's different objectives. Besides the main one, there's secondary objectives to fulfill. And you can complete the missions in a whole bunch of different ways. There's not only one way to do it. And so it became a lot more fun.
So I got confused because when you said HBO, I thought you were saying Hitman was a mini series.
No, just a movie.
And now I'm realizing it's just the movie, and you watch the movie on HBO.
Yeah. The movie's Agent 47. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's just not great. So that was my adventure back into HBO. Silicon Valley is just funny. It's just good. And then the other thing I got was a Kickstarter fulfillment that I had backed last year. I backed some dice because that's what I do. I buy dice because Dungeons and Dragons. But I found these dice on Kickstarter, and they are just regular D20s. I got a whole set with everything, a whole set of dice, D6s, D10s.
That looks nice.
Everything. Here's the difference. Here's what's special about these dice. They are made of bulletproof glass. So these dice are super
They
sharp
look crazy.
edges, super fine. They're glass dice, and it's bulletproof supposedly.
But they won't break.
Yeah, and they've been
Well, unless you shoot them with a really big gun.
right.
No, they're bulletproof.
Oh, there's a bullet that will eventually break them.
But they're like
Whoa.
meticulously
It looks like a diamond,
like
bro.
measured and cut and
So I was gonna
polished.
ask,
What's
how
the
do you-
carrot on that?
Yeah,
How
right.
do you verify the weighting, like as far as it being equally weighted? I don't know if that's an issue.
Yeah,
or not
there's
with that
certain
material.
standards. Right, exactly. There's certain standards based on the type of die that it has to meet a certain size. It can't be below a certain threshold or above a certain threshold in size without all of these different parameters. Like, so if it's this size, it has to have an equal amount. It all basically proportionally has to grow the same, right? Because if it's not, it will always fall to one side. So they talked a little bit about it in like their backer updates of just kind of the process of going through and making sure all the dice are legitimized and all fall the same way, and not all fall the same way, but all fall randomly. So that they're not weighted to one side, and they took even a certain amount of depth that you can imprint the numbers so that it doesn't throw off the measurement, and all the numbers have to essentially take out almost the same amount of material, which seems weird.
So the one goes a little bit deeper than the 10
exactly. Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it was cool. And they just came today. I got one die that I realized in the backer kit that I didn't order. I left one of the options blank, and they just threw in a random die. So I wish I would have. I think the backer kit was a little hard to read or something. I don't know. But it's still cool. It's still a cool die.
I like the color of
Those
that
are the
that
Prism dice?
Yeah, it's Prism. Yep.
Yeah,
I like the
they
onyx
look sick.
color of that.
Yeah. So I got like a green apple, I think is the color, and this is more of their like
a dark
tourmaline
teal.
or something. I don't know what it was
Yeah.
called.
I like the red that they had. That looks super good.
This is the Fyre agate.
That's good too.
Yeah.
That's way good.
I'm weirdly attracted to dice, not in like any type of like romantic way, but like I just want to own dice, and I don't even want to use them.
Sure. No,
Yeah,
dice are awesome.
No, dude, I'm right there with you. Although I would maybe venture slightly romantic, and I think
Okay.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, so I got those, and they're super, super good. I'm excited to see if I can kill some monsters with them. So
Awesome.
stay tuned.
All right, who are you tossing it to?
I don't really think it matters because I imagine
Okay.
we're going to talk about a lot of the
Well,
same.
I'm going to talk about a couple things that don't
mine's
have to do
different.
with.
Throw it to me. Throw it to
All
me.
right, Patrick, go ahead.
Awesome. So I have a couple things to show off. I'll be quick. First thing, this is the
quick.
Huck Gee RE blank. Can you see that?
Nice.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, he's bright in the light. It's movable, although like it's a little stiff. So like these things back here move as.
They pivot?
Wait. The ears do. Sorry, the ears pivot and move. The arms pivot and move. The head turns.
The legs used to move until Mackenzie dropped it out of the car.
It's actually way more, I guess, flexible than I thought it would be. I kind of thought it'd be pretty solid.
I remember the other blank was the same way. When we first got them, they were pretty stiff to move around, and once you
Yeah, and in
loosen,
fact, I just
they're
pulled off
better.
one of the arms, and there's like tons of. There's
Powder.
like exactly, yeah, where it is. Let me pop that back on. What if I just shattered this thing like right here? Okay, there it is. It's
I
back
thought
on.
you might do that with his jetpack when you were trying to pivot it. It just snaps off.
That would be
The back doesn't
terrible.
move.
Even the butt cheeks are movable. That's not true, but that's a good idea, Huck. You should work on that next. Anyway, super cool piece. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I have a really strong desire to actually like try to paint the thing, but I also feel like I
it.
shouldn't start on this. I feel like I should find something else. But I'll say this. So like a lot of the dunnies and monies, when you feel them, they feel, I don't know how to explain it other than almost glossy, like they're very smooth.
Yeah.
And because of that, it feels like when you're marking on them, it's not necessarily going to take very well to being painted.
Yeah.
And I think you see that if you don't treat it well. This feels much almost more porous.
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels like it would accept ink very, very well, like whether it was a marker or paint or whatever.
I think that was part of the thing that is part of the reason that he got nominated for another Designer Toy Award for Best DIY.
Yeah. In fact, he got nominated for like 5 Designer Toy Awards. Or
I know,
4
but I
Designer
think
Toy
that was
Awards,
one of the category or one of the criteria in the
Yeah, it
DIY.
feels
Paintability.
like exactly. It feels like it would paint super, super well. So anyway, really, really love the piece.
Is it lighter? Is it lighter than the original?
Oh
one?
my gosh, it
Is
is
the head
lighter.
hollow?
But I was gonna say, here's the thing: it stands up super, super well. Like it feels very solid when it's standing. Because the orange ones we got, they felt a little
Solid.
on the tipsy side.
You know,
No,
'cause
they
the
were
head's
heavy
huge.
and
That's
solid,
what I
but
mean.
at the
Like
same time,
the head was solid.
but this is like way, way light. But at the same time, when you sit it down, like it doesn't feel like it's gonna tip. It feels like it would stay there.
I think his
through some-
manufacturing process and his production process has definitely amped up.
Yeah.
Well,
He
yeah,
had
I mean, it was his first one with the original link, right? It was his first, like, he was very
Production
clear about
piece.
it was like produced like locally, all in the U.S. So he was, learning.
So, but there were some XRay blanks he put on his website this week. They're already sold out. But if you're interested in the blank in general, there's a few more gummies, and he actually put up some of the plain 7-inch blanks on his website, and has a couple more left. So they
What
do
are the
sell out.
gummies? Are they the translucent ones?
They're not translucent, but they're this like fluorescent. They look like they would almost be like gummy is actually a really good word for them. You have to see them. They look like they're ultra smooth, kind of fluorescent. He has a fluorescent
And flat colored. They're not glossy.
No, I would say they're kind of glossy.
Okay.
If you,
I'm
I don't
trying to
have
understand what you're saying, and it's not working.
No, I take it back. No. It is kind of flat looking. You're right. Yeah. It's kind of a flat look. And he has 2. He has a purple one and this one that's green. They look almost like they would glow in the dark. Like they look kind of fluorescent. But it's the blank style. I don't think I'm doing a great job explaining them, but there are some left. So
I'm just gonna look. Oh, I see them. Yeah. Okay, I get it.
They translate different in pictures though. Like one of the pictures he shows, it does look flat and everything, but in one of the other pictures, it almost looks like it would. I don't know how to explain it. It's just
Bro, I think they do actually glow in the dark. They do. It says glows in the dark.
Sweet. Okay, yeah. Then they're glow in the dark. Okay, so that's great. The other thing, real quick, have y'all heard? This is just like my favorite story, and it's barely related to what we do, but I just feel the need to tell people about it. Have y'all heard about the Fyre Festival?
No.
This is amazing. So Ja Rule and this other guy, last name
I did
McFarlane,
hear about this.
gonna start a festival, and basically imagine the company from Parks and Rec, the production company. Think that, and they were gonna start a festival. It's gonna
Entertainment 420 or
Absolutely.
whatever it is. It's not 420.
and it was gonna be in whatever it was though. It was gonna be in the Bahamas, and it's like as much as like $12,000 a ticket to go. And it's going to be this exclusive live like a rock star for 2 weekends. Amazing. Basically, people started showing up this past weekend. No lights. The sleeping accommodations were FEMA tents. The gourmet food was 2 slices of bread, a slice of cheese, and some lettuce. One of the last big bands, Blink-182, canceled right before because they haven't been paid, and they said that all the setup and stuff wasn't there. And then they ended up canceling the whole event basically the day it was supposed to start. They just canceled the whole event.
What?
And then people were stranded trying to get flights back to Miami.
Wasn't there like weather too? It was like a hurricane or something?
There was some weather like the night before, so even like the mattresses in people's tents were like soaked in water and stuff like that. Craziness. Really bad situation. So there's already like $100 million lawsuit for fraud that's been
How much did it cost to attend this thing to buy a ticket?
The tickets were up to $12,000 a piece.
Wow.
And it's like a complete, absolute disaster. I'm just so enthralled by the fact that someone would so obviously and clearly fail and still allow people to show up. You know, it's just crazy. So anyway, I won't go into any more details. If it interests you, just look up Fyre Festival, F-Y-R-E. On their website is a big apology, but if you go to the Wayback Machine, just Google Wayback Machine, throw in the link to the Fyre Festival, and you can actually see the previous iterations of the site. They were selling the packages and see what they were offering, like the yacht package and stuff like that. Anyway, it's going to be crazy to see how this all unfolds, but I don't think it's looking good. The funny thing is, they said everybody will get a refund, or you can choose to take VIP tickets for next year. That's no joke. What a big FU. So anyway, it's craziness. Andrew, why don't you finish us up?
Yeah, Fyre Festival brought to you by the fine folks at Loyal Subjects. All right, so it's been a crazy week. I know that I've said that like the last 3 weeks, but it has really been. But a couple things that I got in this week, other than doing some stuff that Patrick is going to talk about, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth during his master category. But I finally got my hands on my Pocket Bear and Fig Confidant.
Oh, cool.
This little thing is cute. Like,
they're nice.
Like if you are a note taker, just like you go around and you're constantly thinking of ideas, or you're constantly trying to jot stuff down, or you're one of those people who always has to have something on the go. Absolutely, this works. I totally see it. Plus, it's super cute. I don't know how often I will use mine. I will use it just for the sake of using it because it's pretty and it's nice and it's fun. But I can imagine there are some people out there who will really use this. This is like, and I love field notes. That's cool. Aaron Draplin, obviously, he's a friend of ours. But if you want something that's a little bit more durable than your little field notes guide, this is definitely the way to go because it's hardcover. And
well, it's still like the lay flat and everything, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit.
It still has perforated pages in the back too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it is exactly your confidant. It's just a miniature version of it. The lay flat feature is still there. You have to definitely give it a little bit more of a press to get it to lay flat, but it's still there. So congratulations on that. But it's great.
I can see if you tend to sketch, like you sketch really big. So if like you're not going to take it to sketch in.
Exactly.
You would have it to put notes in. So if you want to sketch in something, you're going to want to go. I think you said you love the plus size, but you're going to want to go with the normal confidant or the plus size.
I keep the normal one in my backpack at all times, and I keep the plus one on my desk for when I'm gonna do like actual drawings that that I'm gonna post or whatever.
But this book for actually taking notes, especially if you want to make sure those notes like don't get damaged, lost, whatever, then this is the perfect book for that because you can't throw it in your back pocket. Yeah.
So anyway, that's just a kind of a side note plug. I got mine in, and I'm excited. Nate Bear can now rest at ease. He was asking about it in the Slack channel, so there you go. And then the other thing that I got in, if you are a somewhat long time listener of the show, several months ago, actually it was last year, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but I'm pretty sure it was close to last year or the very beginning of this year. We talked to Tracie Ching. And she was amazing. Her art is fantastic. It's actually she has one of her coloring pages in our coloring book. But her work is amazing. At the end of that conversation, off air, we were asking her some questions and doing some follow-up stuff. And I had asked her if there were any more, if she happened to have any more of her Hellboy 20th anniversary prints. She then sadly informed me that was not a print. It was a one-time, like a one-off original wood engraving.
Yeah.
So this whole thing is etched in wood and everything. But that the gallery that she did it for, it didn't sell, and so she got it back, and she has just had it in her closet.
Yeah.
And so she said if I wanted it, she would dig it out and she would send it to me. So I did, and she did. Now in the process of all this stuff, I think she had a baby or something like that. So it took a little bit. It took a little while, but it came in this past week. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. We'll post a link to this in the on the show notes because she has it on her website. But for the guys looking at this right now, Patrick, you've seen this in person, but Luke,
oh wow,
can you see the engraving?
Yes.
I can't see what you can see at this point,
dude.
But I'll pivot the camera just so you can kind of look up at it. But it's insanely cool. So
I wasn't sure what to expect when she said it's printed on wood. I was imagining something bulky and heavy and awkward. It's not that at all.
No, and it's not printed. It's laser etched into the wood.
Man, that looks great.
It's totally dimensional. It's totally cool.
Can I have that?
For the no. It's
think about it again and then just let me know.
Okay. No. It's so cool. Like when you go, this would be one of those cases for sure. If you're listening to this, go at some point. If you're not in the car, go to our website and go to the show notes and look at the link to it because holy crap, the detail on this thing is amazing. And if you like Hellboy, you're gonna love it. It's amazing. So yeah, that all happened, and then Patrick came into town and we did some really fun stuff. But I'll let him talk about that stuff when we get to the master categories. So I think that's it for our Around the Table. So let's go ahead and take it to the master categories. The master category section of every week is when we get to talk about the tokens we drew the week before. And last week, Andrew Heath drew tokens for us, and so we're excited to bring those categories. Luke, I believe you got TV and film. Is that correct?
I did.
Well, why don't you take us into the world of television and filmography?
Okay.
Film is short for filmography, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
you're right.
Good.
Okay, so I watched this documentary. I heard about it from a couple different things on Twitter, like last year. I totally forgot about it, and it popped up in my feed again. I don't even remember where, and I was like, okay, I need to check this out. It's a documentary called We Are X, and it's about this band called X Japan. X Japan is a Japanese heavy metal band back from like the 80s. 82 is when they were formed, and it's this band that is like they are Kiss of Japan. Like they're huge, sold millions of records, known by everyone. And they even tried in the 90s to break into the U.S. market, and they couldn't do it. And now they have reunited in the last couple years, and they're gaining popularity again. But this documentary just talks about the band. It was formed primarily by their drummer and piano player, Yoshiki. And then there have been like five. It's a 5-piece band. Toshi is their singer, and then they've had a couple different people in the other roles. Primarily, the 5 guys they have now have been for the last 7 years. They had a guitar player pass away, and he was there from almost the beginning. But man, this documentary, if you have ever been in a band or have been close to somebody in a band, you will identify with a lot of this. It's a really open look of just kind of how things happen in a band, and just the personalities and the things that people go through. It's really good, and it's really cool seeing it through the eyes of a band that's not from America, because their culture, their cultural differences, it's obviously very different than America, and it's the way that they react to things and the emotion that comes from certain things are not the emotions that we would normally have towards them. And it was just really cool to watch and see just their take on fame, their take on how they present themselves. I mean, when they first came out, they were a heavy metal band that looked crazy. Like they're very visually oriented, a lot of like kind of like Twisted Sister almost, like way
some of this like, hair is insane
like psychedelic, like crazy outfits, and just they were like their shows are epic and huge lights, huge production, and it's just really cool to see that like the whole band is this guy Yoshiki, and just his personal story and his struggles and kind of what he brought to all of the music. and how he has dealt with things in his life, and then how that has kind of cycled through the band, and different things have happened, is a really cool thing. There's parts of it that feel a little like the way that the direction was, where some of the like B-roll footage seems a little too cheesy. I'll say is that kind of took me out a couple times, but overall, the production's excellent. The sound is fantastic. The lighting's awesome. There's so much footage of them from the past. It's insane just how much some of like there's like concert footage from the early 90s that looks like it could have been stuff that was shot like within the last 10 years. It's in like the production value of what they had versus
Really?
It's cool. It's really, really cool. So yeah, it's called We Are X, and you can get it. I got it on PlayStation Store. It was like $5 to rent. I don't know. I'm sure it's on iTunes or Amazon Prime. I don't think it's streaming yet on Netflix or anything. But if you like music documentaries, if you've ever heard of X Japan, anything like that, it's worth watching. And their followers, like it reminds me of like the stuff you'd see from like the Beatles, like back, just the hysteria of people are like insane about these guys. And
really,
yeah, it's awesome. It's a really cool watch.
And they seem to have aged very well.
Oh, incredibly well. Like they're Yoshiki and I'm gonna get the name wrong, but the singer Toshi, they both look like they're like maybe 40s, but they're obviously not. So I mean, the band was
they're 123.
The band was formed in 82. Well, you know, they could be late 40s. You know, they were like 15, 17 when they formed the band, I think. So, yeah. But anyway,
crazy.
It's great. Worth watching. So, that was it, man.
Okay. Who you tossing it to?
I'll toss it to Andrew since Patrick got around the table.
Oh, thank you.
Fine.
I appreciate that. So I got toys and games this week, which is great because a couple of games came in and I was able to play a couple of things this week. I'm going to do 2 games. It'll be kind of a 2-for-1 master category. One is a little bit more of an mention because I haven't yet played it, but I do have it. There's a game out there right now. If you go to Kickstarter, it is called UNIMO. So it's NUIMO, and you can go to their website too, unimogame.com.
You started with N. It's UNIMO.
Sure. Yeah. That's the better way to spell it. So
you could try both.
You could try both. So UNIMO stands for Universe of Monsters. And the whole point of this game is you are trying to... the goal of the game is to get rid of all of the cards in your hand, which is a pretty standard mechanic for games these days. But the way that you do it is you want to become the guardian of UNIMO by building up your monsters, and it plays kind of like Uno, or very similar to Ghost, like we've talked about in the past few weeks. There you get different elements. So there's like the fire monsters, like from the fire world, and then there's the ice world, and then there's the grass world, and then there's like an undead world, and you have these characters, these monsters that have value points, but they morph as you go. They build to be bigger and better and crazier monsters.
Okay.
So you imagine that's like getting higher numbers in Uno or something like that.
Yeah.
There are action cards that happen. Some are world-specific action cards, so you can only play them on the fire or if it's fire, you play with fire. If it's ice, you play with ice. And then they have general action cards that can be played on anything. And so there are varying degrees of rules that happen where you can play multiples, and that causes different things to happen where it gets all the cards to kind of go to a graveyard, if you will. But right now, the worlds are Fire, Ice, Rock, Storm, Ghost, and Mech. But as you continue, they're going to continue to put out new decks. So you have one deck of one like solid deck of a world, complete with all of its action cards and all of the general action cards for every player that you have, and then you shuffle them all together, and then you're drawing from that. So the artwork on this game is amazing. That's actually the first thing that I saw on this when I was on Instagram was the artwork. Obviously, that's what catches my eye.
I think I follow the artist.
It's amazing. So here's the cool thing. It's on Kickstarter right now, but I reached out to the game makers to see if they would maybe want to come on the show and talk about the game. They do. That will be probably forthcoming. But in the meantime, they said that they would send me a prototype deck for us to play.
Yay.
Now, I tried to get it in time for us to play at Creative South, but they are out in Sweden, I believe. They're overseas, so it took a while for the game to come through customs. But when I got back this past weekend, it was in, and so it's beautiful. There's still lots of concept art in the cards. Very, very cool. So go to Kickstarter, back it. It's super cheap. It's not terribly expensive. The artwork is amazing. There are some fun stretch goals. So, as always, if for those of us who have already backed it, we would love for more people to, so that we can get all the stretch goals. But check it out. You can get it for, I believe, as little as $28. So that gets you a deck and then all the stretch goals. So, and they're good at posting updates and things like that as the card artwork is getting more finalized. But it's so fun. I mean, I would totally go.
Yeah, it was great to play.
So we had another game that we picked up while we were in Austin this weekend, and it's called Kabuki. And Kabuki is a card game that looks much like the game Skulls, if you remember Luke talking about that a few weeks ago. They are circular cards. They look like coasters. But they essentially, the purpose of the game is you have 4 Japanese actors, and what you have to do is give them different kabuki masks, and you get a kabuki mask by drawing it blindly and then setting it down on them, and you have these 4 different ones to choose from. Your goal is to not place the same one on him twice. So that seems like that's a really simple concept until you realize that there are like 3 different versions of the blue one, and like 3 different versions of the purple one, and 2 different versions of the red one. So you start to lose track as the cards stack up based on what was already played.
We played 3 rounds, right? Is that all we played when we played?
You play 3 rounds. A full game is 3 rounds. It doesn't take long, and you have these victory point coins that exchange. You can call someone out if you believe that they have played a double. You get to sift through the cards. If they did play a double, for every double they put in there, they have to give you one of their victory points. For if you go through it and you were wrong, you have to give them one of yours. So really simple mechanic at first glance. On paper, it's very simple. But Patrick, how hard is it to keep track of that stuff?
It takes so much concentration.
And you can't stop paying attention.
We had, Wilsey showed up people were coming to hang out, and we were playing, waiting on people to arrive.
We were doing a meetup that night.
Yeah, and Wilsey and Amy, almost said Anna, thank you. Wilsey and Amy showed up, and I wanted to talk to them so bad, but you cannot talk to someone and play this game. Like, it takes because the masks have very slight adjustments to them. And you have to make sure that you're not playing a double, but you have to also call people when they're playing a double. And not only that, but you have to beat out like someone else calling them. So you have to be quick.
Yeah,
to
you have
make
to be the first one to say it. Yeah.
And the thing is, if you're not paying attention, I mean, literally, I guess if you're bad, you could lose the round in one turn if there were enough duplicate masks in the stack. So
sure, yeah.
That being said, it takes so much concentration. Is a bit like, I don't know that I could play the game all night. Like, I think 3 rounds was about all I could take.
Yeah, because it makes you work your brain. Like, there's no rest in that game at all. You've got to be on your.
It's a leisure game, but it's an active thinking leisure game.
Yeah.
It's a leisure game in the sense that it doesn't take very long to play. Yeah. But it's not leisure in the sense that you can just play it all night because you'll get worn out. I
think it would be more fun if almost you had like a so many second limit, like to how quick you had to play. That way you just kept the game really fast paced. I think that would to kind of force mistakes and force reaction.
Almost like a timer, like a buzzer, like you had to tap it when you were done and then it started for the next person.
I think
they had to tap it before it. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
I think if you forced a sped up gameplay, it would actually be more enjoyable But when you're going slow, you can spend a lot of time, and it can be a little bit fatiguing. And it's a fun game, but I wish it was like rapid gameplay.
The only problem with that is if you're tapping out on that thing, then it makes it easier for a person to play a card in the wrong place, or play a card, know that it's in the wrong spot, but immediately tap it and move it on to the next person before they get called on it. Anyway, yeah, there's some mechanics to work out there, but it's a fun game. It's cheap. It would cost me $15. Go to your local game store and pick it up. It's a good time. I'm still trying to buy my own copy of Ghost. Patrick bought one because his birthday is this week, and so they had one copy, and all three of us wanted it.
So good, man.
And so he ended up getting it. They didn't have it at the other game store I went to after I dropped him off at the airport. So
she told us they didn't have it.
Cool Stuff Inc. CoolStuffInc.com.
I know, but I like to support the local game store.
That's fine.
You know what I mean?
But if they don't have what you want, then just get it.
That's true. I mean, yeah, that's fine. We can get into the semantics of that at a different time. Sure. I think that was all for my category. Up next, Patrick's category.
Yep.
So this week I have art and design, and it is a good week to have art and design because we are fresh back.
We talked about this last week, so pick a different category.
Shut up.
No, this is it. We are fresh back from the Mondo plus Oh My Disney plus Cyclops print works.
Plus M of 1.
Plus M of 1. Never Grow Up Gallery. This was held, or the Never Grow Up Show. This was held at Mondo Gallery in Austin. And we had the opportunity to go out there and do the kind of friends and family portion before the doors officially open. And got to see the prints, picked up a couple. Incredible time. So they did a the last Disney gallery was what, 2 years ago, Andrew? Is that correct? 3 years ago. And it was, as you can imagine, a bit of a madhouse in a good way. A lot of people moving through there because, of course, Disney, there's so many properties that we love. And then the people at Mondo, they curate so well. This was no different. I mean, we got there, the line went, 2 or 3 blocks down and then wrapped up a block.
Yeah.
And
actually, when we first got there, it wrapped probably 2 blocks.
Sure, and I think people
it went back down. Yeah.
Yeah, and people packed in a little bit more. But I remember, so we got to go to the gallery a bit early and walk through it, take pictures, those type of things. It ended up working out well because nobody was tall enough to rip the cardboard paper off the windows when they were actually opening up. So I got to step in and help. So if you see the pictures
people
from the
started
gallery,
cheering for Patrick as they were trying to open the gallery to the public, and they couldn't do it because no one was tall enough. And Patrick goes, "Let me help."
I got you. So it worked out well. But we got to actually walk down the line, like the line of people, queued up to get in, and we got to talk to a few people. Talk to the guy that was number 1 in line. He had been there since Wednesday, so this was on Friday, and he had got there Wednesday, and he got off work, went home, took a shower, went straight there. We got to see Wilsey.
Turns out that shower was a moot point.
Yeah, it didn't matter by then because it was not cool. I think it was 95 degrees on Friday, and these people were sitting outside. Got to see Wilsey and Amy. I think they were number 15 in line, and they were in high spirits. They had been there since the day before, and then we got to walk through the line and then catch up with the people all the way in the back. We ended up leaving the gallery probably around 3:30 or so. We came back around 6, and the people we had talked to in the back of the line were still outside trying to get in.
Yep.
3 hours later, plus how long they had already been standing there. It was
Luke, it's not a large place. You can only fit so many people in there, and there were over 30 artists who participated in the show.
45 pieces, right?
Yeah, 45 pieces on the wall. So that's a lot of art to look at, and
It was 45 pieces on the wall, and they had them stuffed everywhere. I mean, I walked through the whole show for probably 45 minutes, and then realized there were a couple pieces I had missed. And but not only that, there were 3 mini prints that they were giving away, and then there's still a mystery
and those were
print.
randomized. Yeah, those were randomized.
And there's still a mystery print out there somewhere, at least from what we can tell. So, amazing show. I think some of my favorite artwork. Honestly, I genuinely
wait. A mystery print? What do you mean?
Yeah, explain that, Patrick.
They released an image that had all of the. It's like a.
It was a grid.
A grid, yeah, like a compilation of all the pieces. And one of the pieces is a black square with a big question mark on it.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So there is
what that
literally
could
a
be-
mystery piece, and we don't know what it is.
It wasn't
but-
at the show?
It was not at the show.
No, I couldn't place it to anything.
So wait, I don't understand. What are they doing with it?
Well, so we may have an idea as to what that is.
But it also could be for when the online release happens, because they'll do an online release as well, and maybe it's paired with that. We just don't know and have to wait and see. But
it could be an additional variant. It could be a totally new piece. It could be It could be anything at this point. But
yeah,
what you were getting ready to say, Patrick, about the online release idea, they and maybe you were getting to this. If you are, then just stop me. There were actually pieces that sold out at the show. That doesn't typically happen.
That we know of, whether we should or not. There are 4 pieces that have already sold out. They sold out on the opening day of the show, which is incredible.
Which means you won't have a chance to buy it online.
Yeah, so... But anyway, I think some of my favorite pieces, if I'm trying to like visually, like in my mind, walk through the gallery, Matt Taylor's Aladdin piece was awesome in person. The kind of gold glitter...
It's
the metallic gold. That's that's the word I was looking for. That's through the print, which is great. The 101 Dalmatians print, the variant specifically, which was colored in, which very, very popular piece. If I then move through around the Wayland pieces, Tom, I know you're on the show, but this has nothing to do with that. I'm still such a sucker for your stuff. And I think the Alice piece he did specifically was my favorite. If you haven't seen it, it's like a 24 by 36 playing card, basically. It's an ace, or I assume A for Alice. The back is a card. I mean, it's printed both sides. So it has a card back and it has a front.
It's rounded corners too, right?
Rounded corners. And because of the way, of course, like a playing card, because of the way it's printed, you can hang it any direction you want to. So technically, you could kind of hang it 4 different ways. They aren't signed, but Tom was signing them. It was kind of a surprise thing at the show, and he would sign them each direction. So however you chose to display it, you would still have a signature upright, which was really cool. He also had the Peter Pan piece, which was nice. The piece that really jumped out, I think, was the Bambi piece. That piece was amazing.
Who did that? Was that Oliver Barrett?
I can't remember, unfortunately. You can try to look it up real quick.
Sure, I will.
The Bambi piece was great. I thought the Mary Poppins piece was awesome.
Gosh, that piece was good. I didn't even see it in person. I loved it.
Fantastic.
I wasn't even Andrew can. Andrew said he's got it.
You got me one? Thanks, man.
I did not get you one, but I could potentially get you one. Yeah. I am going back this weekend.
The Up print, we picked up one of those. Beautiful piece, and it was very, very popular. I'm trying to think if there are any others like really big standouts. I mean, of course there were more prints, but I think that those were
How did
probably
the Robin Hood
my
look?
standouts.
Because just from the little picture, I thought it looked amazing, but I couldn't see any pictures
here's my here's probably why. In person, it was very dark. Like it was kind of hard to make out all the details. It was a really cool print and a really cool concept, but the execution of it seemed a little bit dark. So yeah, I mean, I guess yeah.
I mean,
I really want to see pictures of it. I liked. I mean, all I saw was you guys posted like the pic sheet, and that's all I saw. That's all I could find is just that little picture from the pic sheet. I couldn't even find it online.
So I have a photo of it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I'm really I'm probably the wrong person to be going to these things because some of the pieces, and I thought the Robin Hood actually was similar in this respect to the 101 Dalmatians or to I'm trying to think of some of the other examples, maybe the Little Mermaid piece, but they felt very much in the same style as the original film or the original animation. Like they didn't necessarily feel like they were like the Tom Whalen pieces obviously are his stylized versions of the characters.
Sure.
Where some of the other pieces felt much like just original iterations. And I felt like the Robin Hood one fell into that category a bit more.
But is that a bad thing? That's just not your style.
But that's what I was going to say. So that's, for me, it's not really my style. But those were also the pieces I think were maybe doing the best, that were really moving. Although that's also not fair because they were just selling a lot of everything.
Sure.
It's not. I think Andrew appreciates that stuff more than I do. Like between me and him.
Yeah, 100%.
I look for things that fall more within like the style that resonates with me as opposed to the character that resonates to me.
Oh, I'm the exact same way. Yep.
And I should say that I am not as big into Disney properties. I mean, there are specific properties that if someone did a print of, I would just love no matter what. But most of the Disney properties aren't that. So
I think it was Oliver Barrett. It's kind of hard to track it down because they haven't done the full reveal on Mondo's website yet. Once it hits Mondo's website, you'll see all that stuff. But it looks like they're kind of grouping things together. I think it was Oliver Barrett. Yeah. He also may have been the one who did Mary Poppins. I can't tell.
Yeah. But big lack of... So I'll say this, though. My disappointment from the show is there was a big lack of artists at the show. Given that there were something like 30 artists that participated, I expected to see a lot more. And honestly, I saw Tom Whalen, and I'm not sure that many more people were actually there, which I hated because we don't get a chance to see these guys very much. And so that's one of the reasons we love conferences and conventions and things like that, because it's a chance to kind of connect with our online friends the same way we love to connect with our listeners. But unfortunately,
Jonathan Burton was 101 Dalmatians.
Okay.
Jonathan Burton did that. Okay.
But unfortunately, not a lot of artists there. But Tom was there, and his wife was there, and they are just two lovely people. That was great. So gallery show was a lot of fun. I think I walked away with 5 prints, and I think Andrew walked away with maybe 6 or 7. Really, really loved the show. It was a different vibe than the other shows I've been to, but certainly still great. And I loved how the whole thing was more almost kid friendly. From like the fact that they were serving,
they weren't serving alcohol.
LaCroix and water, and then people dressed up, and Mo was dressed up like Aladdin, and then
Eric Garza was one of the nephews, and then there were the other 2 nephews. So you had Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and then of course Rob Jones
was Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck.
Oh, nice.
He is the personification of Scrooge McDuck. So it was perfect.
So it was really fun.
Yeah,
and
it was intended to be fun.
And I think that everybody's attitude came across that way. Like, I think the people there, like, everybody had kind of a little bit more of a whimsical vibe almost.
Sure.
And everyone, last time I went to a gallery show, I didn't wait around until the crowd came in. I kind of went out back and hung out back. This time we were actually in there when they pulled the paper down, when they opened the doors when people came in. And it's just the energy of that and the excitement of that is really fun to witness and be a part of. So a different feel. And then getting to walk the line and actually talk to, the frequenters of the gallery, that's not something we've done. Typically, we would see the artists and then maybe not go beyond that. But we spend a lot more time.
And we Instagram lived that. So if you missed that, sorry, but it was a great time. I mean,
absolutely.
Talking with them and...
Yeah, so we spent a lot more time with, the people like us that were just there because they wanted to buy some stuff, and it was a different experience. It was a fun experience. Afterwards, M of One meetup, and then we had another really cool opportunity a bit later in the week.
M of One meetup was with who we had already mentioned, but also with Kevin Tong.
So Kevin Tong joined us in addition to Sean Rowland and
Jason Lindley,
Jason, and then Will C and Amy, and really, really fun time. And then Saturday night, we had a kind of unexpected and fun opportunity. We had the chance to actually sit down with Rob Jones, Mitch Putnam, Tim Weiss, Tom Whalen, and then wives, significant others, and just got to have a dinner. And it was a really, really cool experience to get to like hang out with the Mondo crew while they're, still in their big release weekend mode. And it was just a different time, and it was a really enjoyable time. So
yeah, it was relaxing given all the craziness of the day before, and really still the opening weekend, just being able to relax and share some stories and laugh a lot.
Yeah, there was a bit. Andrew almost spit up on Tom Whalen. But managed not to, and I don't even think Tom noticed, but it almost happened.
Kelly noticed. That's all that matters.
But so that being said, if you didn't see the show, pieces are floating out there. I'm not sure that there's actually someone has posted on a blog all the pieces they took pictures of. They're out there to find. They're floating around all over. You can find them. But my guess is probably pretty soon, in the next week or maybe 2 weeks, Mondo will release.
Yeah, the show runs for 3 weeks. So I don't know if they're waiting for the show the show run to end before they put them online.
Okay. It may be that, but Mondo will release the prints. They'll more than likely release them in waves. The show's big enough that I wouldn't be surprised if it's broken into 3 or 4 waves of prints. And it'll be whatever they have left over. And so you can assume that anything they release is going to sell out really, really quickly because it's going to be a partial run at that point. But yeah, get excited for that. Again, some amazing pieces. I mean, if you love Disney, there's no way you'll be disappointed. So,
absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's it for our master categories, which means that's it for this episode.
I have one thing real quick. I would be
excited to listen to Luke talk.
Yeah, I would be remiss if I did not say thank you to Andrew Heath, who sent me my package. He sent me my Burger Skull hat, my I Hated You All koozie, and then he threw in some extra stuff. He threw in a skull koozie and his Smokey the Bear pin, which is
I love that.
Freaking awesome.
I love that. He posted a progress shot of that today.
Yeah,
that one is super good. You said hated it all koozie, and it sounded like you said I ate a jacuzzi.
Oh, I ate a jacuzzi. No, it says I hated you all on a tombstone, and it's really just kind of a metaphor for everything right now.
On that pleasant note.
Yeah, I thought what I said was better, but that's good. No, Andrew's a cool dude. He's got so much fun stuff. I need to pick up that Arrested Development piece.
Yeah. There are dozens of us.
Dozens!
All right. So on that note, we will call this one a wrap. You can find us on mof1podcast.com where you can find show notes and links to all the stuff we talked about in this episode. And we talked about quite a bit in this episode. If we talked about some things that are out there to support, go and support those things. Go buy things from incredible artists. Go pick up games on Kickstarter to help those dreams come to fruition. Support the community that then supports the community. It's just a one big happy circle of life. So go ahead and do that. You can also on our website find an archive with all sorts of incredible artists and interviews that have happened over the years. We're pushing 3 years doing this, which is insane.
That's crazy.
So which means we have a backlog of incredible stuff, and there is an incredible month coming up ahead of us, and maybe we'll do a little tease out of everybody who's coming up over the next month because it's going to be a big month of shows. So. Check that stuff out on mof1podcast.com. You can also go to iTunes where you can subscribe. We come twice a week, every single week. And you're going to want to do that because this week's interview episode, our Sandbox interview, is amazing. It's going to be a great time. So go ahead and check that out. And then when you do that, you can rate and review. Right, Patrick? What does that do for us?
Well, it makes us feel good. And It also helps us out. It helps us get us out there in front of other people. So it's very quick for you. We want to read them on the air. We want to read them in silly voices and all that kind of stuff. But we also just want reviews. And we love it.
Yeah, it helps us out a lot. It costs none and takes very little time. I started that backwards. It's
fine.
So when you do that, it helps us out a lot. And then another way you can help us out a lot is to support us on Patreon. Oh my gosh, it helps us so much. Each month there are patrons out there who contribute to help make this whole thing happen. And
yeah, can I give an idea of that? I mean,
sure.
Literally, so we have costs every month. We have hosting costs for the website. We have hosting costs for the episodes. We have our official business accounts where we send our emails out from, and we have our scheduling platform that we use, and all of these things have prices associated with them. So and on top of that, there's our time invested. We're not even trying to cover that. We're just trying to cover like these really physical, tangible costs. So we are almost like right at the point of breaking even, and that's awesome. And we appreciate that. There are other things we want to be able to do. We want to be able to do more giveaways, and we want to be able to go to more events and offer more things for you guys. And supporting us on Patreon allows us to do that. So honestly, any money you give, we're just going to repackage and give back to you. So, we absolutely appreciate those that support us. So big shout out to our patrons.
Yeah, and so you can go to patreon.com/mof1podcast to give on there. You can give, you can become a patron for as little as $1. But if you give $5, that's like the minimum level for our blooper level. And our bloopers will be coming out this week. So if you want to jump in on that and get this month's bloopers, now is the time to join us on Patreon. And besides that, is there anything else? We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook.
And
we're
Twitter.
on Twitter. Yeah, we're on all of those things. So just search M of One Podcast on all those different platforms. Connect with us on there. There's been a lot of chitter chatter on the old Twitter. We are on Hello.
You wouldn't know it if you followed us on there, but I don't think they've deactivated the account yet. So.
But it's been a pretty active month on the social network this month. So hop in there, let us know what you think, chat with us, and we like to chat back. And also another huge thing is our Slack community. That is kind of the primary. It's a one-stop shop, for community. There we have tons of artists and entrepreneurs and doers and thinkers and creatives in there every single day, shooting ideas around, posting work, and doing all sorts of incredible things. Just being part of the community. Join us on there. Go to mofonepodcast.com/Slack to join that community. I think that's going to be it for now. My personal social media is at Andrew Sale with 3s instead of E's.
I'm the great Padsby. That's with 2 A's, only on Instagram, and I don't check it.
And I'm Luke Gall on Instagram and Twitter.
We're going to get out of here. I'm Andrew.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Luke.
Peace out.
Bye.
Hold on to your butts.
Welcome to another episode of the Master of One Podcast, the podcast 3 feet ahead of you in a foot race until it starts. Part 1 this week, we talk about UNIMO, Kukubo. Okay, let me try that again.
Dupido and Bebo.
I'm saying 2 weird words back to back. Give me a break.
Kukubo, what?
Okay.